Nairobi. I know we said it's bribery, and that is what Human Rights Commission's calling it, but in a sense, is it not just a time-honoured practice, perhaps in Kenya, to pay people to turn up at rallies rather than necessarily buying their votes?
Exactly, it's very common practice here. In fact, a lot of Kenyans will tell you they won't turn up at rallies unless they're paid to do so. And there is a difference there between paying people to turn up to shout support for you and actually voting for you on polling day. But joining me now to talk about this further is George Morara, who is from Kenya Human Rights Commission. George, we need to talk about the differences here. Are you talking here about evidence of voter bribery or evidence of people buying voter support?
We are talking of both. The first one is the actual incident of the politicians giving out money, as we captured from our work in the field. And then the second one is actually politicians also engaging in other practices that will make it difficult for their opponents to compete with them fairly. So the second component would be, for example, then paying the voters money on the actual day so that they vote a certain way.
How widespread is this? We've seen two governors from opposing parties, two of the most major parties in this country, but how widespread is this around the country?
Actually, it's taken as a quote-unquote a norm. One of the places we visited last week, we were told the voters are actually going to the shops and saying, well, I can take sugar and tea leaves on credit because one of the political rallies is coming to town. So again, it's something that the voters expect, and politicians who don't have money then are seen may not attract a lot of public crowds.
Okay, what happens next now? You have this evidence. Is it going to go to court? Is the Electoral Commission going to get involved? Are these people going to be found guilty and charged with something?
It's clearly what they're doing is against the Elections Act. So it's actually an offense. And over and above the vote buying and the paying of cash that was seen there, our team has also found that some of the politicians are actually buying identity cards from the voters, which is a very crucial document come voting day. So what we want to do now is yesterday we had a meeting with the IEBC, that's the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, and we told them we'll share with them this information. We are forwarding it to them, and we hope that further action will be taken against the politicians who are behind this electoral malpractice.
Because this was going so well. News about this election coming out was about a potential peaceful election, less voter rigging because of the stringent rules the Commission has put in place. But it really does seem that it's just the old ways again coming into practice, election after election here in Kenya, where people's votes and ID cards can be bought.
You're absolutely right on that. And I think as a country, one thing that we've missed is we focused so much on sending out the peace messages. And because vote buying and identity card buying doesn't seem to be violent acts in and of themselves, then people are willing to let these acts go. But as you rightly say, they go a long way in skewing the whole elections. So it's a big cause of concern for us.
So when people go to vote on Monday, they go to the polling stations, and when we get the results in, how sure are you, and how can you reassure Kenyans, or how can anyone reassure Kenyans that the results we're getting in are the results that should be coming in?
Well, that is a challenge, probability of so many factors. Well, the voter buying is one of the incidents that will note as an irregularity. So we are looking forward to other possible irregularities as well. We've seen incidents of violence, which are again an irregularity, use of state resources. So if we see these acts on election day, then it will greatly compromise the outcome of the election in terms of it being seen as free and fair.
George, thank you very much for joining us here in Nairobi. So, as George was mentioning, there's been so much focus on peace, on potential violence, and less so on civic education, where people are actually taught that voting for the person that you want to elect is better than receiving, say, $5 or $6 not to vote for them or to vote for someone else.
Thank you, Naz. We will have much more on Kenya's election.